So I'll kick things off. My name is Jiraiya. Been in the space since around about 2018. Bought loads of Ethereum and Bitcoin. Sold around about $20,000 Bitcoin, and been in the space ever since then. My background doesn't actually lie in finances. I did a degree in biology and business management in Imperial College London, and then since then I transitioned to become like a full-time forex trader. And then in the last year, I kind of worked in like the influencer sector, worked with quite a few different projects. And yeah, recently we've obviously, come together to build Pepe's game. As a team of 6 of us, I'm on the kind of marketing and business development side. We have Adam, who's on the audience. He's doing all the development stuff. He can't actually talk right now today, so I'm hoping there's not too many technical questions because he's actually the more technical person in our team, right? But yeah, we also have Mr. Intern, who is sat inside the Pepe's Game Twitter account. He's basically our community manager. He takes care of the Twitter side of things, the Discord management side of things. We have Mel, who's also another core member of the team. She is the lead designer. So basically most of the graphics, all of the kind of landing page stuff that you've seen around, that's all of Mel's work. She's been in this space for quite a long time. So a lot of the UX and UI designs for a lot of different protocols did actually come from her. So it's very good to have her on the team. We also have Toast, who's not on the call today, but he's basically the person involved for like the financial modeling side of things. And last but not least, we have Staked Queen, who also worked in the influencer space for for over the last couple of years. And she's basically doing all of our content side of things. So around about a team of 6 of us, plus a few other individuals on the advisory front outside. And also another kind of UX UI designer called Porygon. So a fair few of us on the team. A brief background about our team. So myself, my name is Jiraiya. Been in the kind of space since around about 2018. I actually did a degree in biology and business management at Imperial College London, then transitioned to become a full-time forex trader. I trade for various prop firms. And I've been in the kind of DeFi and influencer space over the last couple of years. Within our team, we have around about 6 core team members, including advisory and a few other kind of new advisors that we brought on board that are kind of behind the scenes, let's say. So we have Adam, who's basically the technical lead on the development side of things. He can't speak today because he's like with family, so he's just kind of listening in the audience. We have Mel, who is the technical lead on the design side of things, and she's basically done all the UI, UX, and a lot of the graphics that we've seen. This is supported by our UX UI efficiency wizard called Porygon, who's also on stage in the audience. And then in terms of the advisors, we have 3 of them. We have Intern, who's actually on the Pepe's Game account. So he's responsible for Twitter management, social media management, Discord, etc. He's basically, he lives 24/7 on there. He doesn't go to sleep. So that's his kind of role. We have Toast, who is done all the kind of financial modeling stuff in real life. He works as like a cloud engineer. And last but not least, we have Staked Queen, who is a doxed influencer in this space, been around for the last couple of years. She's doing all of our content, our Medium, light papers, Git books, etc. So around about 6 core team members, a few advisors on the side, and a few other individuals supporting the design front as well.
Yeah, very cool. Impressive team. For a small team, but very skilled and with a lot of experience there. So awesome. All right. Well, intern, you want to give your intro as well?
I think Jiraiya gave it for me, no?
Okay, perfect. Sounds
good. All good. Let's carry on.
All right. So the first question I have then, if you guys want to, without diving too much into the mechanics, because we'll get into it, I sent you kind of the roll up, but if you want to give just the high level overview of what Pepe's Game is.
Yeah, so a very high level overview is that it's a gamified binary option game, right? So the idea is that you walk up to a slot machine, you can pull the kind of lever, let's say, right? And then it spits out an outcome. Now, if you were to do that in a traditional slot machine, it might be like, oranges, bananas, or whatever. And if it lines up, then you win a prize, right? So in this case, you don't win a prize as such, rather it spits out a trade function. So there are three levers. The first one would basically give you the asset, so it'd be Bitcoin or Ethereum. The second lever will give you the duration of the trade. Oh, sorry, the second lever gives you the direction of the trade, rather. So it'll be higher or lower. And then the third function or the third parameter would be the duration. So I believe that's 15, 30, 45, and 60 seconds. And then after that, it basically executes a trade. After, let's assume, the parameters was Bitcoin higher 20 seconds. Okay. And let's say that the, market price is whatever. Okay. After the 20 seconds, right? If price, closed higher relative to the starting price, then you basically win 80% of the amount of money that you deposited. So that's a very kind of high level overview of it. Essentially, it's binary options, just gamified. You can't choose a direction. You can't choose the duration as such, at least in version 1.
Okay, yeah, very cool. So what was kind of the inspiration, right? I know that, getting into trading is intimidating for some people, but then also gambling is intimidating for some people. And this is like simplified, but also kind of not at the same way. So what was kind of the inspiration that made you guys feel like this was a good market fit?
Yeah, so the gambling market is huge, right? And also the kind of trading, like the just financial markets in general. So if we're talking about something like Forex, for example, right? Forex stands for the foreign exchange market. That's a $6 trillion market. Every single day, trillions of dollars are being moved around, right? And the same in pretty much all financial markets, right? Hundreds of millions and billions of dollars are being shuffled around in these markets. So there's a lot of, there's a big market that you're capturing there. But for a lot of newcomers, a lot of people wouldn't have had the experience of actually trading, right? Like, for someone like you that's been in a space for a period of time, to go long or to be bullish on something, you know what that means, right? But if you're talking about the average person on the street, that doesn't really have any kind of experience with markets, investments, or whatever. If you said, long, they wouldn't know what you mean, right? If you said short, they equally wouldn't know what you mean. Whereas language like higher or lower, I think that's very easy and for people to grasp. Another thing that a lot of people that don't have experience in would be like kind of position sizing. So they don't know how much they should be risking or how little they should be risking, right? So with this idea, it basically allows people to experience the thrill of trading without needing to know all of the complex language and strategy that underpins trading, right?
Yeah, very cool. So then with kind of the mechanics within that, right? So one of the things I was wondering while I was looking at how this, I know that the combination of the three different factors, right? When you spin the lever, the three parameters, does the algorithm take into account the kind of directional trend of the market at the time, or is it completely random no matter how the market is reacting?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely random, right? So the idea of the trade outcome is that it's completely random. It's not based on the direction of the market, it's not based on any of that. If it's between Bitcoin or Ethereum, it would essentially be a 50-50, right? And the same with the directional bias, it would be a 50-50. So yeah, no, it doesn't take that into consideration.
Okay. And then I guess that makes sense why you guys only have the 4 different, time-based trades as well. It's all short duration.
Yeah. So the idea behind the shorter duration is that you can actually, experience multiple rounds. Like the average person can't sit there for like, I don't know, half an hour or an hour, just kind of, hitting the same game, right? Whereas if you do like, let's say 15-second trades, right? From start to end, each trade will probably complete within about 25 seconds if you take into consideration the load in screen, the load out screen, right? Meaning that if, let's say, you have 5 minutes spare, you could probably do around about 10 trades, right? Or 10 different kind of 10 trades, right? Whereas if they were like 5 minutes, then it would take you almost an hour, right?
Yeah honestly I love the concept. It's kind of a degen paradise. But like a little bit more responsible of a DJ paradise, honestly, because like your max bet limit, right, is only $20 currently.
Yeah, as it stands, it'll be $20, but we do have plans, or we are considering to increase the sizing at a later point once we launch, basically. So if people are like, you know what, we want to do $50, we want $100, then obviously we can accommodate for that. It's just a case of increasing the size of the liquidity, like the kind of internal GLP liquidity pool, right? Like the pool that they're counter trading against, basically.
Yeah, it makes sense. You got to be able to cover the trades. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Super cool. All right. So then, as far as on the trader end, right? So, what is the current setup for the odds of winning? Obviously, the house has got to win long term for you to have enough liquidity. That, as with any gambling, any casino, anything like that. So, what are the traders' current overall odds of winning? How's it set up to ensure that it's worthwhile for them to continue to play?
So a trader's percentage of winning is really kind of 50-50, at least in V1, right? Because the parameters of the trade is randomized, you don't get to choose the direction and you don't get to choose the duration or the asset class, right? And also because the duration of the trade is relatively small, you don't really have like a true edge against the market. And by default, the house also doesn't really have a true edge against the market, right? Because it's, within 30 seconds, it could really move up or down. And very few people would be able to have pinpoint precision and accuracy in determining, the direction, right? So in V1, it'll be 50-50. However, in V2, which is which will probably come maybe a couple of weeks or a month after V1, we will actually allow traders the ability to counter Pepe, right? Meaning that, let's say, Pepe, you spin the slot machine and it deals out, let's say, Bitcoin Bitcoin higher for 20 seconds, right? If you think that price is actually going to be lower, right, in that 20-second period, you can actually choose to trade against Pepe, right? So in V2, you would have some kind of control over the direction of the trade. And that could potentially, give you as a player a slight edge over the house, potentially.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of platforms where you can say, hey, you have, 50-50 chance, an actual 50-50 chance of winning, if you just stick to like the basic level betting, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I like that. That's a much better odds for me personally than doing my own trading.
I mean, so there's a rule.
I'm not a phenomenal trader.
Yeah, I mean, most people aren't, right? That's the thing. It's like there's a rule that exists in like the kind of traders industry. It's called the 90-90-90 rule. And what it basically states is that 90% of traders lose 90% of the capital within the first 90 days, right? Now, obviously, that isn't just a function of, skill, right? It's also a function of like stuff like risk management, emotional management, and all of these kind of different things, right? But when you actually remove all of that and you just allow the parameters of the trade to be determined by, let's say, a randomizer / algorithm, right? And it removes all of the, risk management aspects, removes the emotional elements of trading, right? Then you actually stand a much higher chance of being profitable or at least break even relative to traders that are actually actively trying to trade the markets, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, human nature is the number one reason we end up losing. So
correct.
And casinos, generally take full advantage of that, as they should. If you're going to pay them and you're going to, they're going to make their money. So, but very cool, very cool. All right, so then for kind of just a couple, just kind of basic things, just the fees that traders are going to be associated with. I think it's 10% of all your trades, or 10% of each trade, and then you guys got that distributed out. You kind of want to cover that real quick, without necessarily talking about how those fees are going to be used within the rewards. We'll kind of get to that, but
Yeah, so we don't really have like too many fees associated with our protocol, at least in V1. It's just going to be very simple. So like whatever you decide to bet with, we're just basically going to take a 10% cut, right? And 40% of that would basically be distributed to peg holders in various different ways. And then 60% of that will actually go into accumulating PLS, which is the native governance token for Plutus DAO.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I'm excited to talk a little bit about that here in a minute. I think that's going to be huge, the way that you guys are structuring that. So, all right. So for your liquidity pool, right? So your initial liquidity, you guys are aiming to launch with. What sources of liquidity are you drawing from besides the pre and public sale earnings, if any? And then what are you guys hoping to have as like a potential runway at your official launch date?
Yeah, so there's like two kind of liquidity pools, right? There's the one that is obviously paired with PEG, right, which is the native token for our protocol. We're planning to use 5% of up to 5% of our total token supply. We're going to pair that with most likely USDC. All right. And obviously we're pairing in such a way so that, we get the correct opening valuation and whatnot. In terms of like the internal GLP pool, right? PGLP, right? PLP, Pepe's liquidity pool, right? The thing that you counter trade, that traders trade against. We've already got enough funds to secure that. So we did some kind of financial modeling, and we realized that we actually only need around about $10,000 in there in order to kind of withstand any peak to valley drawdowns. So we've accommodated for that by doubling it to 20,000, and this comes from the private round that we have already secured. The other day we raised $210,000, so $20,000 out of that would be going inside the kind of internal pool that traders trade against. And in terms of initial runway, well, we're basically going to reserve. Well, the team has an allocation, right, which obviously goes towards securing, for the first year at the very least. And on top of that, obviously with earnings through the protocol, through a portion of the public launch, right, we're going to reserve enough salary to be able to cover all operational expenses and team expenses for the next year at least, right? And that should give us sufficient runway to build out the future products that we can discuss a little bit on today. So yeah, hopefully answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then with your modeling, did you guys model that based off like a certain number of users, like total volume through the platform?
Yeah, we based it on the a number of spins actually. So we ran like a random distribution between $5, $10, and $20 bet sizes with an average win rate of like, let's say 50%, right? Because it's like, over a large sample size of trades, it's likely to become 50-50. And we ran that over 10,000 different trades, right? Or 10,000 different iterations, basically. And our internal pool should be profitable, all right, on $10,000 within it. But we've obviously doubled that to $20,000 just so we have like an added buffer.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, yeah, with the fee, with the initial 10% fee going back, and then winning 50% of the time, that's should theoretically, be profitable. So, yeah, cool. Yeah, very cool. It's got to be pretty cool that you guys can do it with kind of a low overhead too, without having to invest. Start out with, be able to resource $250K in order to get it off the ground.
Yeah, exactly. That's obviously one of the kind of challenges that a lot of decentralized perpetual protocols need to be able to deal with, right? So that they can generate a high enough open OI. But yeah, with ours, it's really not the case. We only need around. We've done some modeling based on a $20 max bet size. We only need around about $10,000 in there to get things up and rolling. And obviously, as that pool becomes, assuming that pool becomes profitable, and assuming it grows over time, we can also increase the maximum bet size over time as well to allow for more degenerate gambling.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's talk your tokenomics. So first, you want to kind of cover the token distribution, and then like the vest periods, lock periods. I know you already mentioned the team being vested for over linearly over 12 months, but if you wanted to kind of touch on kind of the rest of the allocations and distribution.
Yeah, sure. So it's all within the Git book. So if you forget anything or you miss anything, you can just refer to that. But I'm just reading off it here. So for the treasury, we've reserved 12%. That is going to be vested linearly over 24 months. For the private sale, we sold 3.5% of the supply, and that's going to be linearly vested over 3 months. For the public sale, we reserved 20%. That's going to have no vesting. Liquidity and mining, we reserved 23% of that. Okay, 15% of it is going to be linearly vested over 15 months. 5% will be used to seed the initial liquidity pool, and 3% will be reserved for mining incentives. We're thinking of potentially, this is not 100% confirmed yet, but we're thinking of potentially bribing V SPA holders or PLS SPA holders to actually direct some SPA emissions to this pool, so that we can obviously.
Is this alpha, sir?
This might be alpha. Might be alpha.
Might be alpha. Oh.
We reserve 5% for the incubator, which I can definitely talk a little bit more on. That's on a 24-month linear vest, but none of these tokens would ever be sold. They would just be permanently locked, generating yield. Strategic partnerships reserved 8%. That's on a 12-month linear vest. With this, what we're really referring to is basically ambassadors that represent our protocol on a marketing level, to onboard some more talent, right? We brought on a new UX UI designer recently, and to secure any kind of marketing that we could potentially with TikTok influencers, YouTube influencers, but that's a little bit later down the line most likely, because I know there's some kind of it's a bit tricky for some of these guys to partner. And we reserved 10.5% for airdrops, right? So a percentage of this is going to be airdropped to PLS asset holders, and some of this is also going to go to incentivize the alpha and the beta test, because we want high quality feedback, and obviously we want to reward you for your time and the effort that you put into helping us improve the protocol. And last but not least, we have an 18% team allocation, which is vested linearly over 12 months. This includes all the advisors we've got within the team as well.
Okay, very cool. And then, two things I wanted to talk about within that is, what are you guys kind of aiming to do with your treasury? And then also, if you want to actually, kind of deep dive your incubator and the concept there.
Yeah. So the treasury, what we plan to do is various different things, right? Number one thing that I really liked, that I saw recently, was what Y2K and what Buffer Finance did with a portion of their treasury. So after they launched for a period of time, I think it was 2 to 4 months, they actually did a secondary raise, right? At I think it was a slightly higher valuation. I'm not 100% sure, right? But I think it was a slightly higher valuation, and through that they basically managed to convert a portion of their treasury in their native tokens into USDC or Ethereum, which obviously allows you to be more flexible with that, right? What we hope to do is we hope to arrange OTC deals with Plutus DAO to accumulate a significant portion of the PLS circulating supply.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. And then I would definitely want to dive more into the PLS here in a minute. So then after you cover, if you want to go ahead and cover the incubator portion as well.
Yeah. So the incubator, it's actually not something that is public right now. It's something that's private. It's called Tailored Ventures. So very high level overview of Tailored is that it's a full stack Web3 agency. Okay. And the venture part is that we're basically planning to incubate more protocols later down the line, right? And the idea is that if you're working internally within Tailored, right, we're going to have this kind of treasury side of things. And at the end of the year, we kind of get this like end of year bonus, right, that's going to be distributed to various different people working within the agency on a kind of point-based basis. So how someone can accumulate these points is in two different ways. It's predominantly based on your contribution to the agency and to the incubator, right? So that is based, number one, on the amount of work that you carry out and the value of the work that you carry out, and number two, the amount of work that you bring into the agency, right? And like as a team, right, we're obviously we've built Pepe's game, but there are several protocols that we're also going to be building, and it's already happening, right? It's kind of occurring alongside Pepe's game, and it kind of falls under the umbrella of Pepe's nation, actually.
Awesome. So incentive-based point system there, which I've seen in a couple other, and not saying that Kava is on the same level as anything Arbitrum right now, but their kind of incubator is doing kind of the same thing, like based off what value you actually bring and like long-term performance and things like that with the chain. So I think it's great for both the economy and your project that, it's not just like, hey, look at this thing we have, give us some money, but it's like, what value have you actually brought? I think that's great for long-term health.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I really like that kind of, let's say that kind of environment, right? Because in a very kind of traditional corporate environment, let's say you're DeFi raiders and you have like a colleague, right? And, within let's say 1 year, you've delivered immense value to your company, right? Let's say you've turned over, I don't know, $1 billion in sales, right? And let's say you put in, I don't know, 1,000 hours, right? And then your colleague has also put in 1,000 hours, but he only helped bring in, let's say, I don't know, $5,000 in sales, right? In a traditional environment, you'd be compensated for your time, right? Meaning that you would both be paid the same. And the question is that really fair, right? And obviously, if you're thinking about it kind of more logically, right? It should be you, right, the person that brought in $1 billion in business, right, to be compensated more relative to the person who, just contributed less, right? So, it's more of a meritocracy. Yeah. Anyway, you get what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and this kind of falls in line with, things you've been hearing over the last handful of months about being able to incentivize behaviors.
Exactly.
And so, seeing all this stuff play out is cool. As projects are, kind of starting to realize like, we have to build something that's long term and, and incentivizes, health of the protocol and then the ecosystem. So awesome.
Yeah.
Excited to see that kind of play out for you and what you guys are able to bring in with that. So
thank you.
All right, so then let's talk about what you guys are doing with PLS. When I first saw some of this stuff with your plans, with everything Plutus is doing with kind of governance, dominance across the ecosystem, I'm interested in how you guys are looking to accumulate and incorporate this and use that to reward your investors.
Yeah, so it's quite I can go very in depth, right? But I'll try to stay fairly high level until details have been like 100% confirmed and solidified. But a very kind of high level would be that when with their V2, right, or just even holding PLS and locking it, right, for on a monthly basis, right now you're earning kind of underlying yield on the assets that Plutus itself has accumulated. So for those of you who don't know that much about Plutus, you can think of it kind of as like the convex of Arbitrum. So they've accumulated a lot of the governance tokens for DOPEX, for Dow Jones, for Sperax, and most recently Arbitrum, and also Radiant, right? So a lot of these assets obviously generate underlying yield, and they transpose portion of that yield, right, that is earned to PLS holders in their V2, alongside the V2 of various, several protocols. You're going to be earning additional rewards in the form of like emissions, bribes, gauges, etc. Right, so all of that is going to be accrued to PLS, right, and people who lock PLS. So we basically hope to front run this, right, a little bit. Hope not. I see the Plutus price is obviously pumped quite a lot from 35 cents all the way to $1.50, right? But we're still fairly early, is all I can say, right? And yeah, we basically hope to build a significant position in this. We basically plan to build several products around their V2 in a form of vaults. So yeah, alongside obviously, directing a portion of the, underlying yield generated by Plutus to peg holders, we also plan to generate a set of vaults that will generate additional yield, right, out like kind of alongside that, right, and direct that to peg holders as well in the form of stakers and lockers.
Yeah, and then those rewards, just to quickly cover to the PEG token, I think is important for the staking and locking is that it's paid out in USDC. So, we talk about real yield. I think that's kind of important to note as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So then for one of the questions that I had is kind of just, something that I was, just kind of thinking about. So when users are holding the VIPLS, is that going to be something, those votes, are they going to have to go and vote to manage their own positions? Is that going to be something that's you guys are handling, you're voting to different pools and just rewarding? Or is there an option for people to delegate their voting power to the team or to a governance section? What's kind of your thought process behind that?
So we haven't actually finalized the architecture of this particular service just yet. But chances are, you as a peg holder, right, you're not going to be responsible for directing your votes or whatever, right? That will all be automatically done by us, basically, right? So obviously, think of it if you are you familiar with kind of Votium and Llama Air Force on Ethereum, mainnet?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Votium.
Okay, yeah. So it'd basically be that kind of mechanic, right? Like we're working right now to basically build this out. So it's all going to be automated, right? Or as automated as you want it to be, right? So you would be able to basically delegate your voting power to us. We'd be able to vote for you on the best pools, etc. But obviously, this is a little bit later down the line because they're not quite there yet, even with the whole Sperax and Plutus relationship. They're just not quite there just yet, right? Even if I'm a PLS holder and I lock it, I don't have the power to actually vote for certain pools just yet. So when that time comes, I'll be able to give you more specific information as to how that works. But until those details are finalized in a few months, it's very hard for me to give an exact answer to that.
No, totally fair. Just questions that I was thinking about and just wondered if you guys had, what solutions you guys were currently able to talk about. So, and for everyone who's listening, if you are not truly familiar with Plutus DAO and the opportunities there that this could potentially provide, I suggest you get super familiar with everything that Plutus is doing and why they're putting such an emphasis on there.
Man, when even the host is talking about when even the host is providing alpha, man, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, Plutus is legit. So you guys accumulating that to when I first saw that, I was like, yo, this is a big brain move. So I'm a big fan of what they built over there and what they're trying to do as well. So, all right. So very cool. So let's talk, you mentioned it previously. Let's talk Pepe's Nation. What type of potential projects are you guys aiming to build, kind of the vision for that, whatever you can put out. I know a lot of that's not public, so.
Yeah, so very high level again, Pepe's Nation is kind of the overarching brand, I guess, and Pepe's Games kind of falls within that, right? So obviously when we launch, right, we're basically just going to have the game to start out with, right, which is the gamified binary options game. But later down the line, we plan to build some additional games, right? We're planning to do something called Guild Wars, which is like some friendly competition, let's say, between various different Arbitrum communities. So we have like people from Castle, for example. We have some guys from Fungi. We have some guys from what was it, Small Brains and Blueberries, right? There's a lot of like really cool Arbitrum communities out there. To be honest with you, they're all very 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 cool, all doing their own little thing, right? But there's nothing right now that kind of brings them all together in a collaborative and yet competitive environment, right? And I think by incorporating something like this, it can really bring various Arbitrum communities even closer together than they are already now, whilst obviously, having a lot of fun together, making new friends, making new relationships, and, also making a bit of money on the side, right? But yeah, so that's the gaming side of things. But on the other side of things, obviously, we mentioned that we're accumulating, or we're going to be accumulating a decent chunk of the circulating supply of PLS. With that, we obviously want to build out kind of various, various protocols around that. Right, it's not just going to be a case of we're accumulating Plutus and then just directing the yield. That's like a very, let's say, basic thing that we can do, right? But we plan to extend above and beyond that. So something you can think of it something like the kind of Votium and Llama Air Force equivalent around Convex, just built around Plutus, right? So as you can see, there's kind of like two different branches, right? There's like the kind of Vault/DeFi side of things, and then there's like the gaming social element side of things, and all of this would fall under the umbrella of Pepe's Nation, right? Which is really just a collective group of people, group of organizations that have fun, and make money together, and they just have a good time,
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of, I like to look long term and like try to think about the different things that could be built there. So I'm looking forward to what you guys roll out. All right, so then one thing that I was really wondering about, as all of these different analytics dashboards and different things are launching, are you guys looking at potentially taking the data from how different trades played out, what were the most profitable, what were the least profitable, kind of the different variables, and building out any sort of education platform or analytics dashboard that traders can use to educate themselves in order to go be successful on their own?
That's actually a very interesting question. It's not something that we have considered, but it's definitely something that we can consider, right? In terms of like, analytics and dashboards, like we have one of our ambassadors is called Mochi. He's going to be helping us build some dashboards around like our protocol itself. Whether or not that extends all the way into like kind of trade analytics, I'm not sure if that. Like, I'm not a June expert, right? So I'm not sure if it can be extended to that. But it would certainly be something very interesting, right? If you can build like an educational product around it. I'm very kind of pro education myself personally, right? Like I've been trading independently for the last 6 years. And within my time here on Twitter, I've actually educated around about 250 unique individuals on how to, turn over a profit from the Forex market and from the crypto market by using, various different forms of technical analysis, right? So I'm very, pro, empowering people to be able to go off and do this on their own successfully. So yeah, if that's a possibility through these dashboards and whatnot, I think that's a great idea, definitely.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. I mean, this is such like a, kind of an introductory way for people, because I know people are going to, anyone who's truly interested in learning to trade is going to be watching, how did I win, how did I lose, and trying to kind of formulate, strategies based off that. So I think that would be, something that, further on down the line would be great for you guys to be able to do. So very cool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. And then kind of what's your aim? I meant to ask this earlier, so I apologize for circling back, but what's kind of your aim for expanding to other assets besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, if there are any at all?
Do you mean like the token that we accept for the bet?
Correct.
As a stand,
what the trades are being placed on, yeah.
Yeah, so as it stands is obviously like USDC, right? But we're definitely open to accepting other forms, maybe a little bit later down the line. It's something that we have discussed internally, but nothing is really kind of concrete yet. I think personally, I think it'd be a really good idea, right, to accept like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but it's a little bit more difficult, right? Because when it comes to USDC, you know exactly how much it is that you are betting, and I'd say that's relatively important, right? Like to know, you know, how much risk you're really taking on, right, for this kind of game, for this form of entertainment, right? Whereas when we're talking about like Bitcoin and Ethereum, because the size, like the value of each one is so, you know, so much larger, right? Like betting 0.1 Ethereum, yeah, it's a fair bit of money, right? It's like $17. If you bet 0.1 Ethereum, again, that's like, you know, $170. So it's something that we have considered. We have talked about it. At this particular moment in time, we're just accepting USDC, but you know, maybe later down the line we could do something like that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and then on top of that, are you planning on, you know, incorporating more than Bitcoin and ETH into the parameters for the bets, as far as like more volatile assets that they could randomly be chosen, you know?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, it is again one of those things that we have discussed, and I think we should definitely be able to do that. Need to obviously run this through like the development team to see like if there's any kind of, you know, risks associated with, you know, interacting with more tail end assets. But yeah, I don't like, you know, from my point of view, I don't see why that couldn't be done. And I don't think the risk would be absolutely huge, considering number one, the bet sizes are relatively small, and number two, the direction is kind of random, right? So, you know, you and I have an equal chance of winning. So yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do that. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely something we can consider for sure.
All right, very cool, very cool. Okay, so kind of just moving on towards a couple of the final things here. I know you guys have put in your docs that you guys are getting audited. What's the timeline for when you guys are planning on, you know, completing the audits?
Yeah, so we've applied for 3 different audits. I think one of them is with like an audit firm called CoinScope, and I believe there is 2 private audits by like kind of individuals, let's say. 2 out of 3 of them has been complete today. Still waiting to hear back on the 3rd one. But yeah, so far it's going very, very well. That's all I can say. I think with my team just shared with me like the feedback given by the first 2 audits. So yeah, I think we'll be ready to release that relatively soon. So yeah, long story short, going well, and yeah, we'll be releasing it very, very shortly.
All right, cool. Looking forward to reading it. I didn't used to pay much attention to them because I didn't truly understand them, but you know, now it's you learn a ton from reading those, especially with kind of new type projects like this. It's great to kind of understand all the different parameters that are getting looked at. So
definitely.
And all right, so then you know what, if let's talk about kind of a little bit about your partnership.
I guess I can probably, you know, tell you a little bit about, you know, the people that we have been talking to. So we've been talking to the guys over at Sparax, for example. Really interested in you know, working with them to launch a pool through Demeter, right? Pairing maybe Peg with USDS and maybe incentivizing that pool. That is something that, you know, we have been in discussion with, and it's just a case of finalizing that up once we are, you know, ready to launch the pool, right? Another one would be had a chat with Alex from FactorDAO. Potentially, if the infrastructure, you know, on Factor allows it, maybe we might be building those Plutus vaults through their platform. Not sure, like exactly on that kind of a dev/technical side, whether or not it would be possible just yet. But something, you know, we're talking about and considering. We've had a few chats with the guys over at Lodestar. So there's a friend of mine called Waffle. We're potentially going to be, you know, getting some tokens listed on there, maybe the PLS Asset Vault tokens, but this would be like way down in line, like maybe 6 months, 9 months kind of later down the line, right? But maybe like Peg as a token could potentially be looking to get listed on there as like a money market. obviously with a bunch of different Arbitrum communities as well. So Castle, Fungi, Fungi Alpha, Blueberries, Small Brains, right? I don't think they're like kind of official partnerships, but like definitely kind of collaborations and at least some kind of relationship there, right? And last but not least, we've had a few chats with our friends over at Plutus as well, because obviously we're planning to build around their V2. We're planning to build several products around their V2. So it's not a partnership, but we are in talks with various members of their team, right, to kind of get the ball rolling, so that whenever they go into their V2, would be very, very kind of close to completion as well. So few people we've been talking to.
And Mesky is in the audience. Hello.
Hey, Mesky. He's a guy with the sunglasses. Mesky, I'm sure you already know, but like he's one of the core team members of Plutus, and we've been chatting to him a fair bit as well regarding like kind of protocol direction, a little bit of advice here and there, and he's kind of our liaison to kind of arrange any communications and deals with the Plutus team.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for joining, Mesky. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing over there, by the way, if you didn't hear it earlier. So, all right. So then,
he's driving right now. Cool. He's driving right now, so he's just listening to us.
Yeah. Hey,
he gave you the 100 react early on.
He gave me the what?
The 100 react,
Ah, sweet. Appreciate that. Does that mean I've arrived? That makes me feel like I made it. So
you've achieved something in CT, man. Holy shit!
Let's go. I'm gonna text my wife that later, and she's gonna not understand what I'm talking about, but it'll be cool for me. So, all right. So let's just talk a little bit about the roadmap, what you guys got coming, and then how can people get involved, right? So I know you just finished up the private sale. Full disclosure, I did put a little bit into that. Just so everyone's aware there. And then I know you guys have the incentivized testnet that's rolling out that people can get access to. And then, when's the public sale going to be available?
Yes, sir. So, we're going to have two incentivized testnets, let's say. Right, one is the alpha and the second one is the beta. So the alpha is most likely going to be live today. Is going to be available for all of our ambassadors that represent us on our marketing front. It's going to be available to all advisors and all moderators, community managers, etc. And also Pepe list and OG role holders within our Discord, right? And there might potentially be another role that's going to be opening up towards the end of this session, right? For those of you who are listening to this call right now, you could potentially get on the incentivized alpha testnet as well, if you pay close attention till the end. The incentivized beta test is probably going to come maybe like a few days after, maybe like 30th or 1st of April, give or take, right? Obviously, we want to give enough time to allow people to test the alpha, give us some feedback, allow us to integrate and implement the feedback before we open up to the beta, right? So maybe a week, maybe a couple of weeks. With respect to the public raise, we're still finalizing that, but we're aiming for April 1st, right? Aiming for April 1st. So through that, we are looking to raise a maximum of 3.8 mil, right? And obviously, a portion of that is going to be used to seed liquidity. A good portion of that rather is going to be used to accumulate more PLS tokens. And those are going to be the main two things, right? Seeding the pool, accumulating Plutus, and then obviously like a small percentage for like operational expenses. So yeah, that's a very brief overview of the roadmap, right? So we've got the incentivized alpha today. We've got the public raise really soon, probably 1st of April. We've got the incentivized beta, probably sometime around then as well. And then we've obviously got the launch. And then soon after the launch, we'll be rolling out quite a few things. Let's say we've got like daily quests, we've got weekly quests, we've got guild wars, we've got a bunch of cool stuff, right? And obviously we've got the vaults as well that are going to be pretty ready, leading towards Plutus's V2, right? So that's a general roadmap that we've got.
All right. So definitely a little bit of alpha there, everyone. You want to if you're not involved yet, it might be a good time. So,
is it a April Fool's joke? Is it not an April Fool's joke?
I don't know. 50-50 chance, it seems.
Yeah, just like the binary options, 50-50.
Spin the wheel, baby. Spin the wheel.
Hey, it's all gambling in the end. So, all right. Well, very cool. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to see everything that you guys kind of roll out in your roadmap. Obviously, got a lot of good information here that really shows that you guys are aiming to build something more than just a static degenerate gambling game. So. Super excited to kind of see that play out, and just want to give you guys the opportunity, whatever last message you guys want to put out to the community while they're here.
Yeah. So funny enough, actually, like when we first incepted this idea back in like October, November, we were actually gonna launch it as like a meme coin, kind of like like Shiba, or like any of these kind of meme coins, right? But over the months after we brought a few more people on board, it became something a lot more serious, to be honest with you. And we realized that there was actually a lot of potential to this. Obviously, using the whole meme culture with Pepe, to build that kind of community. By being able to bootstrap liquidity and funding and whatnot, there is some really interesting products that we can build on top of the kind of DeFi Legos that Plutus and various different protocols on Arbitrum has kind of laid out for us. So yeah, really exciting. So yeah, I got one last message, and that's a special task for all of you that have stayed right till the end. If you guys go on Twitter right now, right, and you tweet something about this AMA, right, that you've listened to, maybe something that you like, something that you enjoyed, or something, whatever it may be, right, and you just include the hashtag PLS peg me, right? So I'll repeat that, hashtag PLS PEGME, right? Once you've done that, screenshot your tweet, paste it into our Discord server's AMA channel, right? If you're not sure where that is, ask the moderators. This may or may not get you something special within our Discord, which may or may not give you access to something special today. So that is hashtag PLS peg me. All right, peg as in our native token. Right.
Oh, someone's already asking to be pegged. I see the notifications rolling in.
Yeah, they're not going to waste any time. Hey, it benefits to stay till the end,
Always, yeah. Always a lot of alpha.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps up everything I had for you. I really appreciate your time, the opportunity to talk to you, and super excited to see what you guys got coming. So
beautiful. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Yes, thank you
we'll
for
chat
having us,
soon.
sir.